Hi everybody, my name is Miss Leslie and I am a marine science and physics instructor here at the Elementary Institute of Science. EIS is a nonprofit organization that teaches STEM activities through hands-on experiments for 2nd through 8th graders. We do after-school programs, Saturday programs, as well as camps. Today, I'm going to be talking to you all about density and buoyancy and how salt can actually affect these two properties. Density is the mass divided by the volume of an object. Simply, it's just how heavy or compact something is. Buoyancy, on the other hand, is the ability of something to float in water or another fluid. So today, we're going to look at how these two things affect different objects. The materials that you're going to need are just around your house. For me, I'm going to be using a ping pong ball, a penny, and an egg. For the second part of our experiment, you'll also need a piece of tin foil, which I'll show you what to do with later. So to start, we're going to look at our 2 glasses of water here, which you'll have filled up about 2/3 of the way full with warm water. You'll start by pouring about 2 tablespoons of salt into our salt water container. And you're going to have to stir it for about 10 minutes or so till your water gets clear. We've mixed this one already, so this is what yours should look like. We've labeled them so that we don't mix them up between the fresh and salt water. Once you have your waters mixed, we'll start out by testing our different objects. First, we have this ping pong ball. If I drop it in the salt water, it'll float. If I drop it in the fresh water, it also floats, which means that this ping pong ball is less dense than both the salt and the fresh water. That makes sense because it has lots of air and you can feel that it's really light. When we test out a penny, we drop it in the salt water, it'll sink to the bottom. And when we take it out and drop that same penny in the fresh water, it'll sink again. That's because this penny is a lot denser than both of these waters. You can feel that it's a little bit more compact and heavier than this ping pong ball. When we test this out with our egg, I might not be sure what happens. In the fresh water, we'll drop it in, and their egg will actually sink to the bottom. But if we move it over to our salt water, it'll actually stay up at the top and float. This is because in our fresh water, the egg will be more dense and sink to the bottom, whereas in the salt water, it'll be less dense because there's more molecules in the water. In this case, the salt adds mass to our salt water, which makes its density greater, which is why this egg will float in the salt water and sink in the fresh water. So what if we're not able to change the density of our water or change the density of our object? What we can do is adjust the buoyancy of the object. This is where our piece of tinfoil comes in. You'll have a flat piece of tinfoil, and what you'll want to do is fold up all the sides till you make a little boat like this. It's okay if it's not perfect. Mine is not perfect either. But we just need it to be a little square that can hold our penny. So in this case, we saw that the penny sinks in both the salt and the fresh water. So we're going to try to see if we can make it float simply by changing its volume. We change its volume by putting it in this boat. So I'm going to put my boat on top of the water. We see that it floats because the tinfoil is less dense. And then I'll put my penny on top like this. You can see that the penny's not sinking to the bottom because we've just increased its volume. Both of these things, density and buoyancy, are what help marine animals float in the ocean. If you think about the world's largest mammal, the blue whale, it weighs about 200 tons. If you had a blue whale on land, it wouldn't survive because it's just too large. A whale that size wouldn't be able to move around on land. So when it's in the ocean, the buoyancy and density actually help it to float and swim around without sinking to the bottom. It's pretty cool. Thank you for joining me today to learn a little bit more about density and buoyancy. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you'd like to learn more, you can go to our website at eisca.org or follow us on social media at EIS San Diego.